Hello and welcome. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to connect a registration and a login form to a database using the VB.NET programming language. Upon completion of this tutorial session, you should be able to design a registration and a login form using the VB.NET programming language. And after designing the form, you should be able to connect it to a database somehow, meaning that there are some prerequisites we need to meet or have before we get through this tutorial successfully. One of the prerequisites or one of the necessities for this session is for you to have some sort of local server running on your machine. Okay, so with the softwares that I've listed here, XAMPP, MAMP, and WAMP, when you have any of those on your machine, that is fine. When you're on Windows, XAMPP is okay. WAMP is also good. If you are on Macintosh operating system, I think MAMP is the ideal one. Okay, if there is any other one that is efficient more than this one listed here, which is the MAMP, that is fine. Okay, all we need to have is that you should have some sort of database management system running on your machine so that we can perform our database functionalities. Okay, all right. So this ones, I'll be including some download links inside the description section, so you can just visit them and then download it, get it installed. That is when if you don't have it. Okay, all right. Now we also need Visual Studio IDE. This is what we are going to be using for our coding and the designing of our forms. If you have version 2013 through to 2019 or in between installed on your machine, if you have version 2013 through to 2019 or any of those installed on your machine, that will be okay for this tutorial session. And also the color code that will dominate most in this session is listed here, so you can take note of this color code because I'll be using it for some controls when we delve inside the designing session. Okay, all right, with that said, I am going to launch my Visual Studio IDE, then we can take it from there. So I'll just go to my start menu. Now search for Visual Studio. So I am using Visual Studio the version 2019. Okay, so yours could be 13, 14, 15 through to 19 and even 2022. Yes, I think that is the latest one. All right, so for me I am using 2019, so I'm just going to select that, and then okay, so it is loading. So here we are. So with 2019, the version 2019, when you open it, this is the first interface you see. It gives you some few options that you can play around with. So on the left pane here, you see your recent projects that you've worked on, and then on the right pane there are some commands that when you execute them, they can perform whatever function that is associated with it. But for now we are interested in creating a new project, so we just select create a new project. Okay, so having selected that, I'll just search for Visual Basic in the search bar at the top there. I'll just type in Visual Basic, so a list of options will be available, but then I'm looking for Windows Forms app to bracket.NET framework, the one that comes with a VB.NET programming language. So as you can see, there is an icon that is prefixing this entire thing over here. So VB, that is what we are interested in. We select that and then we just hit on next. So let's give our project a name. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to say that YouTube registration and login. Then the location of this project should just be in a default location, and the solution name as well, it normally picks the project name, so let's just leave it like that, and then let's leave this checkbox unchecked. With the .NET framework version, let me just select the highest one that is available here, and I'll just hit on create. Okay, so now that we have our project created successfully. Let's begin to do our form designing. So by default, whenever you create a project in Visual Basic or related ones, normally what you get is that you get a default form. So this is the first form that is available here. Inside our Solution Explorer, you can see the name of the first form. But then let's just rename this thing to, for instance, let's implement a splash screen in our project. So let me say frm splash screen. Okay, then I'll just hit enter and then I'll accept the changes. Okay, alright, now let me just resize this form to a preferred size. Okay, so this is okay for me. Let me change the properties, some few properties of this form. The start position should be in the center and the form border style should be none. Okay, alright, then let's go into our toolbox and then place some few controls on the form. So the first one that I need is a progress bar. So I need a progress bar. Okay, let me elongate this one a little. Okay, so and then let me just place a label somewhere on the form. So let me just drop this label here. Then let me copy and then paste. Let me right click on it, copy and then paste this one, and I'll rename this one to splash screen. So this can be anything that you want to appear on the splash screen. Okay, so for the sake of this here, I'm just putting a label over there. Now let me just increase the font size a bit to perhaps 15. Yeah, 15 is okay. Now let me go and then copy my color code and then change the font color. So the font color of this particular label should be this one. Oh no, this is not what I intended to use. Okay, so I'll get rid of it and then let me use the default colors that are available within Visual Studio. So I'm looking for some shade of blue. So menu highlight. Okay, I'm okay with this. And then this one as well, menu highlight. Okay, then let me increase the font size for this label as well to be perhaps 10. Then let me put it right here. Let me nudge it, select both and then make sure that it is in the center somehow. Okay, now we need one important control, which is the timer. Now this timer will help us keep track of our progress bar. Alright, so let me leave the name to the default one timer one, but whenever you drop a timer, it doesn't fall on the form just like we have the label here. Okay, it is part of the project, alright, but it is situated down here somehow. Okay, so that is how those who created the application decided to implement it. So that is it. So take note of that, please. Alright, now we want to write some functionalities for this splash screen, but before then let's add one more form. Okay, so I'll just go to project, add Windows form, and I'll say that frm login. Then I'll just hit enter. Alright, so let me resize this one as well to a preferred one, a preferred size. Okay, this is somehow okay. Let me change some few properties as well. The start position should be a center, so that whenever the form loads, this particular form loads, it will be in the center of the screen. Alright, the form border style as well. I want to get rid of the controls around it. This ones, I want to get rid of them. So I'll just select none from here, and then let me increase the font size of this form to perhaps 14. Okay, so what it means is that any control that you drop on this form will take the size, the font size 14. Okay, so in a way we wouldn't be going back and forth to be changing the font size for the different controls. We will just make minor changes to those ones that we want. Okay, so let me just pull in another one. So we need a label. Okay, we also need a text box, so select this one here. All right, and then we need a button as well. All right, so let me just adjust this thing to a preferred one. Okay, so I'll right click on this, copy, and then paste it so that it's to be duplicated. I want two of them for the username and password thing. Okay, all right, so let's just rename this label to maybe authentication. So let's say this is the authentication window. Authentication. So let me just copy and then paste this one here, and then reduce the font size to 10. Okay, so let's name this one username. And then let's copy and then paste as well. So let's give this one will be a password. Alright, and then this one, let's rename the text property to login. Alright, now let's have some label at the down part here to kind of ask the user if they have already registered or not. If they haven't registered yet, then we can allow them go and register before giving them access into the system. I think I should increase the font size for this particular label to perhaps 20. Okay, then let me use the menu highlight color for this one as well. So that will be the 4 color property. Okay, menu highlight, yes, this one right here. And then for the button here, let me change the flat style to flat, and then the back color should be menu highlight, and the fore color should be white somehow. Okay, yes, so I think I'm okay with this. Now with this one, let's just say that new user, okay, then let's just copy and then paste this one again, and then let's say yeah, register here. Okay, now let me change this fore color to menu highlight once again. Alright, and let it be bold. The font size should be bold. The font weight, okay, the weight of this particular font should be bold. Okay, let me highlight all this, align them properly. Let me bring this here. Okay, now let me copy this label here and then paste it at the top here. Now let's change it to um, letter X. Okay, this one we'll be using to close our form because we have removed the default one that is available. So let me change this thing to perhaps red, just to indicate that something, whenever you click on this one, something should happen that perhaps you will not really want to. Okay, alright, so let me say that the cursor type for this particular label should be a pointer, should be a pointer or something, a hand. Yes, should be a hand. Okay, alright, with this one as well, let's also say that the cursor should be hand. Alright, now let's rename this control to txt username, and then this one to txt password. So if we are using this text box as a password field, then let's set its system password character property to true. So use system password character. Having selected this one, you choose the property, use system password character, and then say to true. We set it to true. Okay, alright. Now if you are not seeing your properties arranged from A to Z, that is an ascending order, then please check this one here. Make sure that this one is not selected. Don't categorize it. If you want it to be arranged alphabetically, then select this one instead. Okay, alright, so let's rename this button to btn login, and then this label to, let's say that lbl registration. Okay, I made a typo, registration, and then this one too to be lbl close or exit. Alright, I think this is okay for now. Now we need one more form, or even two, so let's add it, the registration form. Okay, so go to the project here, project tab here, and then select add windows from the first option, select it, and then search for windows form, and then rename the form to suit what the form will be doing. So this one will be responsible for registration, so I'll say FRM just to represent form. Okay, FRM registration, then I'll just hit on add here. Then let me resize this one as well to the preferred one by holding the anchor that are available here. Then as usual, let me change the start position to the center of the screen, also the form border style to none. You can do practically anything you want with this form. Okay, alright, so yes, we need some few controls as well. So let's just say that let's increase first the font size for this form to 14. Yes, as you can see, it has distorted the size again, so we need to readjust it. Okay, alright, so I'm kind of cool with this. Alright, so let's go back to the login form and then copy some of this, practically all of this, okay, to the, okay, so you let me do it like so. Just right click on it, and then hit on copy, select this one, select the form, and then paste it. Okay, so let me just position this one. Oh, I didn't intend double clicking on that, so let me go back to the design view by just maybe right clicking here and then say view designer. Then I'll just move this thing to the top there a little. Then I'll rename this label to registration. Okay. Then let me rearrange this one's a little. So I'll highlight both of this and then copy and then paste it. Then adjust it. Then I'll copy again and I'll paste it. Then I'll adjust it here once again. So we have let's say that we want this one to be first name. Okay. We want this one to be username. No, let's say last name. Okay. And then this one will be username. Okay, username. Okay, let me just undo this. So username, select both and then copy, paste this one as well. Then say that this one should be username, password, and so first name, last name, username. So let me instead use this one as password. So password, and then this one will be confirm password. Confirm password. So we pull this one here and then position this once here. So it means that we need to change the information here to already a user, and let's say login here. Okay, so let's rename this label to lbl login. Okay, and then this one will be btn register. Then the text property for this button should be registered instead of login, so register. Okay, now this one will be txt, the confirm password, txt confirm password. This one will be txt username, okay, so there's already a control called that, I'm sure. So let's say this one will be this first control should be txt first name, txt last name, then txt username, and then txt password, txt password. Okay, so we want whenever the user clicks on this login, it should redirect the person to the login form. So let's just double click on this LBL login here and say that me.close and then frm login.show. Okay, so whenever the user selects the select or hit this label here, it will close the current form, which is a registration form, and then it will show the login form. Okay, so this is basically what is happening here. Let's go back to, and then as well, if we should double click on this one as well, let's do the same thing. So I'll just copy this and then paste it over there to do practically the same thing. Alright, now we need one more form that when the user is able to register and then log in, we need to send the user to a simple dashboard. Okay, Alright, so let's add one more form. So I'll go to the project tab here and I'll say add Windows form. And I'll name this one. Make sure that Windows form is selected, okay? If you are not seeing yours here, search for it. You can come here and then say Windows form. Okay? Yes, so as you can see, it is popping it right here from me. So I'll just rename this thing to FRM dashboard. And I'll just hit on add. And then let me resize this one as well to the preferred size. Then the form border style as well, let me change it to none. Okay, now the reason I've been changing this thing to none is that the look and feel of this default form, I don't like it. So you can maintain yours if you're cool with it. If you really want to design it to look more interesting to, that is your preference. Okay, so let me go back to the registration form and then copy this label and then this register button here and then this login label, and then let me just right click, copy it, and then come back to dashboard and then just paste all of this here. Okay, so practically I don't need a label. Let me just delete it. So let me just say that dashboard, and this one should be btn logout. Okay, and rename the text property as such, so logout. Font size for this form is this button is very small, so let me just increase it to 12, I guess. So 12 is okay. Alright, so let me just do one interesting stuff. So let's copy this label and then just paste it here. And then let's say that should be current user. Okay, current user. Let me copy and then paste it again. So this one will be user. The username will come here. Okay, so let's say LBL. Let's rename it to LBL username. Alright, so font size for this particular label is too much, so let me say 15. Okay, so this is quite okay. This is not really a good UI or layout. Okay, I'm just trying to, oh shit, I don't want it to do that. Wow. Okay, so I guess this is okay for now, so we'll work more on that later. Alright, so let's try and position this thing right here. So whenever this logout button is clicked, let's double click on it and then say that me dot close and then say frm login dot show. All right, so whenever the login form is showing, let's say that frm login dot txt username dot clear and then frm login dot txt username dot clear, so that the values that were entered during the login, they will be cleared. Okay, all right. If we don't do that, what happens is that whenever the login form is shown, you will see the password and the username you entered before you left there. You will see it again. We don't want that. That is not a good practice. So is basically um, going to clear or handle that for us. Okay. All right. Okay. So now let's set this form to, let's say, oh, let's rename. I'm back on the splash screen. Okay. Let's rename this label to LBL percentage, because whenever the progress bar is increasing, I will append the percentage value to this label. Okay, so I'm renaming it to LBL percentage. The name property here should be LBL, so that when I'm referencing it in the source code, I can call this and then I'll know that okay, it is this label. Okay. All right. Now we will transition to look at how we can write some logics and functionalities for all these forms that we've created. All right. Okay.